Hello students. Today we'll discuss about the research project in master's degree. So we'll discuss many things like we'll go to the overview and we'll discuss about the stages in problem selection or theme selection. Then we'll discuss our research project outlines, what should we include in the research project, and then we'll discuss about planning and organization of research project, and followed by how to do literature search and how to manage the references. So let's start with the overview. So research or discovery is nothing but an execution of a good observation, and good observations comes with critical thinking, reading, or maybe after some experience, or you can say a lot of reading is required. It's not that you just start with one paper or one literature. You have to have a lot of known literature. So people generally say a good scientist thinks differently. He sees what others cannot see. So this mindset is very important. If you read, if you see the problems, then you can build your own projects. So the problem selection is very important in a research project. So identification of real problem is biggest task in a discovery project, and can be achieved through rigorous studies or after long experience. So long experience you don't have, but you can do one thing: a rigorous study or rigorous literature search. And you have to think differently, like you must see the problems of community, like old people cannot walk their own. So how can you make their life easy? This may be the problem. Likewise, many problems are there in the market. So research topic can never be an old or not a new. So it's your vision, or it's your eyes which sees the problem. So it becomes new. It's a way of different thinking. Sometimes the older problems needs to be addressed preferentially than the newer ones. Like right now, if you wish to go to the moon in a 1 hour or two, so that is impossible. Like, but if you want to solve any small problems, like in our life span, so that will be great thing. So you need to be open mind thinking and do a lot of hard work to achieve the best result. In research there is no shortcuts, so you must be hardworking. Next we'll move to the stages in the problem selection or theme selection. So what are the stages? So stage 1, problem, theme selection, and your research interest. So think broadly about what interests you in your research. Write down the list of themes, and by asking yourself following questions. You might be thinking, this is the biggest challenge in your research project. Yes, obviously this must be, because your project must be a different one and must be unique. So you should ask something to yourself: what is your subject of interest? Which deep How much deeper you can go into that subject? What is your best interest, or you can say in which subject or in which topic you can do a lot of hard work? So that is very important. What are the current topics or hot topics in your field? If you look around in that subject, you'll find many things, so that you can search for. Are there any issues in the field which are particularly important to your own national settings? Like, uh, this is the corona situation, so we have to think at our national settings or national disaster or epidemic which is ongoing. So this way you can make your own project. Or otherwise, if you talk about drug discovery, TB is the biggest problem in India, so you can choose that one. Or if you have any relatives and you're suffering from some disease, so you can make project on that, or whatever the need of your society, maybe you can choose that. Next question you can ask is there any themes topic that have interested in you since you were young? Means from the beginning of your career you might have thought of doing something different, so that you can choose as well. Also evaluate the job market's customer. One of the thinking is that you go to the market, you search for the problems, and you do that work, or what your employers need, or what industry needs from you, what market needs from you. You can choose that also. So all those things you have to make some points, or you make a list, so that you can see what are the topics of my interest and what are the industry needs, what are the national setting needs. So all that you have to rank them. Next, choose the best one or plausible ones. When you have selected or listed out the topics of your interest, so you have to pick, or you have to choose them, or you have to make the list narrow. So pick the topic that can be done quickly. At your level, you have to do it in a certain period of time. So you have to be very precise about your project. So you can do this, for example, by seeing if there are any themes that have come up in answer more than one of your questions. जैसे कोई चीज़ है जो कि आपके questions में ज़्यादा बार आई हो in stage 1. Like your national setting is okay in that respect, your interest is okay in that respect, and your circumstances have told you to do that. So that must be your project first rank, and others you rank them accordingly. By doing this, you should be able to narrow down the choice, short list of 2 or 3 topics of interest. Prioritize them. Then once you choose that, you have to criticize yourself. By once you finalize that thing, then you must be keep asking the questions, whether whatever the topic you choose, you must ask some questions, or your plan must be realistic one. Very specific problems should be there, and should not believe that you are going to change the world. This is very important. You are in a project, you have a specific time limit. So in this time you have to learn the basic things, how to do the project, how to execute the project. Those things you must assimilate during this period. So from the list of questions, choose one that grabs your interest first. Ask yourself, is it a reasonable or sensible problem which I am going to solve? This is very important. Choosing a big problem doesn't give you good research project. You must be very specific, or you can choose a very small project. Indeed. At this stage, you need to check whether it is viable topic. Viable means whether it is possible to be performed in a lab settings or not. But wherever you are doing the project, it must allow, or it must have the facilities to perform that project. What is the cost of completing project? In India, cost matters a lot. So you're not going to pay everything from your pocket. So be careful about the cost of project. Don't choose the project which is very costly. If your supervisor has money, or if you have some funding project, then it's not a big problem. Then how long it will take for completion? As I told, do not choose a project that is too long. It must be a project that can be completed within the time limits. Whether this solution has a potential to solve the given problem, whatever you chose, whatever the project you are thinking about, that project will certainly give solution or not. This you must think about. Am I able to convince my supervisor for this project? If you choose yourself, then you have to have the ability to convince your supervisor for the project. What help can I get from my peers? Suppose you choose yourself and your supervisor is not convinced, so there may be a problem. Or you can get help from the other students, or previous students or seniors. What type of help I would need from my department? If you have chosen the project, and then if you identified the needs or requirements, and will you get it from the department or not? This is very important. And the most important is, the question is, my work going to help or answer my research question? That must be keep asking and asking. If you're changing the project to, if you are in between the project, then also you should ask this question: whatever I am doing is in relation to my topic or not. The last stage is to make your final choice of the project. Make your final choice. So this may be possible when you have enough time to go through all three stages: first, second, third. So you have to just keep revising, then come up with the best project. Sometimes you may have to change your first priority to second, so that will change everything. Again, you have to mingle or to change the priorities based on your settings, or based on your research interest, based on your needs of employer, whatever. So final check to make when you are ready to settle on a topic or title is to ask yourself one last question, very important: does this topic really interest me and excites me? So the answer must be yes. If you do not like that project, and if you are doing, you will not going to give your 100%. Sometimes your project need more than that. So the answer must be yes. It must be your topic of interest. Then only you will give your 100%. Then comes to the research project outline. What the contents in your research project you have to add. So research project should include following information: a title. A title must be very concise and should articulate your aims clearly. What what is your aim? What you are going to do? It can be one or two lines, not more than that. Then objective, the main research questions. What are your questions? What questions you are going to solve? Must be realistic, clear to you, and should be lined up with the project. These can be 3 to 4 bullet points. Sometimes 2 is okay, but 3 to 4 is okay. So you must say what problems you are going to solve in stage wise. The rationale of the study. It is basically your research in research which you must be able to defend. Why you have chosen this project? What ignites you to choose this problem? 2 to 3 paragraphs you can add to this. Then a brief background literature. This you should show that you have read number of relevant papers, books, papers, etc. This will lead you to understand your current topics and current knowledge, and will make you to solve pitfalls or gaps. The more you need, better the project will. A proposed methodology. When you read everything, you must be knowing what methods you should use to complete the project. So this methodologies must be aligned with your research objective, research question. So include the things which can solve your research objectives, or which can fulfill the research objectives. So this includes how you intend to undertake the study or complete the objectives. Then what methods you will use, what data you will collect, how will you analyze the data. So these all questions must be must be addressed while you making your methodology or proposed methodology. If your project includes any form of experimental work or any type of instruments or equipments, you must include that into your methodology also. So precise list must be there. So you will be knowing that what are the requirements for my project, and you have to purchase all the things, or you have to arrange the things accordingly. So at this stage you will be able to know whether my project is going to be complete or not, because you studied, or you have collected all the data, all the points to be addressed. So this will give you more confidence than doing the project as such. So next you have to add a proposed timeline or time schedule of the project. Without your scheduling or without a timeline, you will end up with nowhere, or you can extend your project. So beware of doing the project without a proposed timeline. You must have to have uh, times for literature, or times for experimental work, or time for purchase of all the requirements for your project, and sort of things that you need in project. And also make the time for your thesis writing and all the thing. That is also important. Sometimes some projects need future perspective, so you can add or you may leave it as such. Finally, references must be there to support your project or support your literature. So this is all about your contents of the research, what you should include and what you should not. Next topic is planning and organization. We discussed in this point proposed timeline, so we'll discuss it in more detail because it is very important. How you are going to organize or plan your research project. So planning, planning, and planning. As I told earlier, also you need a better planning, or you can say best planning for your research project. So invest your time in making the timelines, or perfect timelines, you can say. Whether your research is for master dissertation or doctor thesis, need a careful planning and organization. You you will not be successful if you simply start work and then see where it leads. So it will lead nowhere if you don't organize or plan. You must have a time frame which will complete the objective. So your objectives and method must be correlated, must be time bound. From your master research, the final date to hand will probably end of July. So you need a plan accordingly. Therefore, you must be prepared a project which can be completed within time limits of your master curriculum. So most research project can have following 10 stages. 10 stages. I'll tell you how to organize it. So choose the project that we already discussed. Literature's review. Go give most of your time for this stage. The literature review is critical in the early stage of your project. The literature review has many purposes. So this is very important stage of your research project. So it enables to find out what it enables to find out what research has been undertaken, what is the history of your subject, suggested improvements, what can be done, or gaps in the field. So you have to fill those gaps which are required, not to do everything, not to do a big project, just important things which are missing, or what the gaps are there. This will lead to a good methodology to complete the task. If you read a lot, you can make good methodologies to complete or to fill the gaps. You should start to develop a critical view of advantages and disadvantages of different approaches. If you have more than two approaches to solve the things or to complete the project, you choose the best ones. It is almost most important stage of the project. If you do this thoroughly and well, you will be saved many potential problems later on. Like, it is very important that it is wise to and better to fail early stage of your project than failing at the later stage. So if you start early, if you think early, you'll have a good project. If you do literature afterwards, then your failure rates are more than that one. So identification and finalizing the research questions. Then when you did the literature, identify research objective, then frame them as soon as possible. Choosing the developing methodologies, we already discussed that you have to develop the methodologies, or you have to choose the methods to solve your objective. So stage 5, again this is very important, piloting the methodologies, trials. Pilot your methodologies is essential. Whenever you start a project, when your objectives are clear, when your methods are clear, then you must do the trials before doing anything, before doing scale up things. So when you do trials, you will get to know whether those methods are applicable to my project or not. Is there any chance of improvements, or is there any chance of alternative methods? So this will tell you the changes, suggested changes and modification in the method which you are using. Sometimes we have to change the whole process, sometimes we have to change the conditions according to your project. So you must do a trial things. Then data collection. Data collection is also a crucial task in research project. Make the data clear, legible, so that you can understand them when needed. Do not try to remember data. This is very big mistake students are doing. They try to remember. They will think that we won't forget it. But we are humans. We tend to forget the thing. So better to write or to note down them in the notebooks. That will remain forever. And keep them in a safe place where you can retrieve them easily. Mention the date and time also, so that it will be easy for you to make assumptions accordingly and retrieve them easily. Organizing the data collection. Data collection we already studied. Then organization of the data. So make the tables, make the literature perfect, so that you will, whenever you need, you can retrieve them easily for thesis writing or for making conclusions. Then data analysis. Data analysis is nowadays very important, because you are nowadays we are generating lot of data. So to deal with those things, it's not easy to do a manual. So nowadays many softwares are available, like Excel, GraphPad, R software. So those will give you statistical analysis of the data, and it's very easy to understand also, and it's very easy to represent also. So the very important thing is wrong data analysis may lead to wrong direction, and good research looks insignificant. So you must take help from your peers or some seniors, so that you can interpret the data perfectly. Or Google is always there to help you. And then drawing conclusions and interpretation. As I told, wrong interpretation will lead to wrong results. So data interpretation and presentation is very important, because this will give you, this is the overall impression of your research. So you can certainly take help from peers. You can use different methods to showcase your results, such as tables, graphs, charts, etc. Then the last point is preparing the final thesis. So I always tell, a good storyteller will attract everyone and can make a boring story an interesting one. So it's your ability to how you write your thesis and how you connect all of the points which I will discuss, like from the title to the results. So you have to be very specific about those things, and you must connect them. Writing of thesis must be similar to storytelling. It is an art. So every project can have a different story, and you should make your own. Make your drafts of individual chapters throughout the project. Yes, you must prepare the thesis on the chapter wise. So chapter wise handling is very easy. Instead of doing it in a single word file or in a single project, it will make your project cumbersome. So prepare according to your chapters, like introduction, then literatures, then experimental, then other things you can do. At this stage, though, the work needs to be prepared for submission, making sure the whole work is coherent, and beware of plagiarism. This is very important. Do not copy all the things and stuffs from the net and paste it. Don't do that. At this all significant amount of time. It may take a lot of time. So plan according to that. So you must have 1 month or 15 to 20 days to make your thesis if you are expert in that one. Otherwise it can take 2 to 3 months. So how to do literature search, how to manage reference, then we'll discuss. The literature search can be done to various journals, websites. So NCBI is the biggest one platform. Like Google is for normal search, and this is for PubMed is for scientific research search. So you can do Google also. Sometimes you can do patent search. There are many publishers which can publish research articles in different streams like Nature, Elsewhere, Springer Link, Bantam Science, Wiley, Royal, ACS, PLOS, Science, AAAS, and many more. So PubMed is look like this. So you can search by putting your text here and then do the search. It will give you a lot of information about your research. Okay. Then how to manage the references. Reference managing is very important task. Nowadays, do not waste your time in manually putting the references. You must use reference managers. That are, some of them are free, some of them are purchasable, but free ones are also good. Like many people use EndNote, Mendeley, RefWorks, Zotero. So Mendeley is free one, and you can see the you can do the Wikipedia search. Like this one is reference manager software comparison they have given. So Mendeley is free, the EndNote is not free. So sort of things you can do. EndNote looks like this. Okay. So overall you must do a project which can be done in a time limit. It must be a realistic one, and you must use some computational tools to manage your references, to manage your statistics. So that will bring or make your project very easy. So I think this will help you in doing your research. Thank you very much. If you have any queries, please let me know. I'll try to solve them. Thanks a lot.